People have passions, hobbies, or things they enjoy in life, but then there are things that people were meant to do that reaches so far beyond a passion that it becomes instinctual to somebody. I have found culinary arts to be my escape and the one thing that I cannot explain as to why I am meant to pursue it. My name is Madison Callaghan, and I am in the ISM program at Lone Star High School, and I have been studying culinary arts. This year in ISM, I have chosen 2 quotes to kind of represent my journey as well as my hopes for my career as soon as I graduate from Lone Star High School. My first quote is, "If opportunity doesn't knock, then build a door." I feel like this quote truly represents the culinary industry because you're constantly having to look for those new opportunities, those new job opportunities that even though you may not get every single job that you may want, or not every opportunity will come to you naturally, but you're trying to fight through those hard times and then make a new opportunity for yourself. And then my second quote is, "Logic can get you from A to B, but imagination can take you anywhere." And this is by Dr. Seuss, and I feel like this honestly represents the culinary industry and what I hope for my career, because it may be logical to go to school to do something that does give you a high salary or can support you, through any hard situation, but I feel like following through with my passion for culinary and taking my imagination and my dreams to the next level will honestly lead me to a happy life. My mission for ISM as well as my career is to build a foundation of my knowledge within the food industry by networking with various professionals in order to produce creative, delectable vittles that inspire taste buds on various scales. I will incorporate my strive for perfection and creativity to become influential, futuristic, and a progenitor in pursuance to inspire people to turn their passions into their dreams. This year in ISM, trying to narrow down one specific branch of the food industry for me to study was very difficult because the culinary industry includes many things, whether you want to be a planner or you want to be in the actual kitchen or you want to work as a manager. There's so many different options, and so I kind of wanted to narrow it down to fine dining in general, because fine dining included anything from food photography, food styling, wedding and event catering, wedding and event planning, or even molecular gastronomy and things involving the Food Network. And finding these passions starting off with the food industry, it began whenever I was very little, and it started with just simply watching the shows on the Food Network. So whether I was watching, Giada and I was in the kitchen myself just making instant macaroni and cheese, I was enjoying what I was doing even though I was talking to absolutely no one in my kitchen. And so I found those passions at a younger age just as something as I liked to watch. But as I grew up, I began to notice that just little things that I enjoyed or little things that I liked watching or doing all involved cooking, and that I got a lot of influences from that. And so from there, I decided to take it physically and take it to the level of taking a class in high school that got me involved with culinary. So I was able to get a certificate here at Lone Star. It's called Serve Safe, to where I'm allowed to work in an industrial kitchen and I know all the sanitation and safety guidelines. And so from there, I was able to enter in the CTE Center Culinary Arts Program, which is a 2-year program where students can go and run a deli in a restaurant to common people. And what this program has showed me is, hands-on experience in the culinary industry and showing me that, okay, this is something that I actually want to do. And from there, I was able to get involved with a competition team called ProStart. And basically, this is a competition where students create a 3-course, 5-star meal with no electricity, with 2 burners, and then no refrigerators or anything like that. But it all has to be done within 1 hour. And so this was able to test my skills as a junior because I wasn't quite sure where I would stand, because I did have, a lack of confidence in, can I do this? Because I had never fully taken a step to be involved in the culinary industry. I just knew that I loved it. And so with doing this as a junior, I got the experience of just being under pressure situations and learning how to work with people that I've never worked before. And so with learning those skills in my junior year, I was able to move on in my senior year and be the team captain of the ProStart Culinary team. And this enhanced my knowledge of what leadership actually means and how to run a team, or how to work with people that you didn't expect to work with as their character types. And so also another aspect that really pushed my limits this year is being able to create a menu that is kind of risky, but taking a leap of faith on it. And so through these pictures, you can see of the progression that we had through our competition, and just expanding our imagination and our creativity within a menu, not only just our personal skills with each other. And then also just some things and characteristics that I've noticed that are important with being in the culinary industry, or just the food industry in general, is you have to be creative. Culinary arts is a type of art that is expressed through food, and so the way you plate something or the way that you come up with a menu, it's all being creative and it's very artistic. And so I feel like that's very important to have that characteristic in yourself to be in this industry. And then also it's important to be able to adapt to change easily, and to be able to adapt to change easily, you do have to go through some tough things in life, just experiences in general, but adapting to those things can help you further, be able to adapt to a new job change, or, being able to persevere through the hard times. But also just that connects directly to being able to persevere through those hard times in the food industry, because it is a, difficult industry just to get your name noticed and to become a well-known chef or be at the top rank in a kitchen. It's very difficult, and so being able to persevere through those challenging times of trying to get to the top is very important. Some of the research that I've done in ISM thus far includes all of the topics that do include fine dining. So I did start with food photography and food stylists, and basically what these people do is they want to try to find the most appealing angles or the best way that a food can be displayed, whether it's for advertising or for a magazine or for a cookbook, or just simple pictures of food just to display something on a menu. And what these people have to do is you have to have a keen sense of detail to be able to notice small things about food, or notice, oh, this would look better in this type of lighting. And so I feel like if I were to be a food photographer or a food stylist, I would have to have experience prior with working with food. And so if I have experience working with various types of food, I can be more knowledgeable about what the best angle of that food is going to be, or the best way to picture that. And then as you can see in this picture, this food photographer has taken pieces of dark chocolate to show that, yes, that is a dark chocolate cupcake, or has taken matcha powder to show that that is a matcha green tea cupcake. And, displaying strawberries can get somebody's attention who absolutely loves strawberries, and these type of, keen sense of detail for the photographer is what's going to get, people to hire you for advertising their company, or getting people to fall in love with the food without even actually tasting it. And then I've also started out looking at wedding and event catering. And with wedding and event catering, it's important to have, control over a kitchen, but also you have to have management skills as well. And so having the combination between hands-on working with food and being able to run a kitchen and having leadership skills, that's going to show versatility to my resume, and showing that I do know a little bit about everything in the food industry, not just, being a chef as a line cook. And so one of the things that I did want to notice if I did move into it for fine dining is that clients want to see that you have worked with those upper scale, caterers, that you have worked with, reliable sources, and that's when they're going to want to hire you, is when you have, a substantial and a good resume. And then also one of the things I did research and found is that if you want to open your own catering business, it's important to have a sufficient amount of capital to start off a good business, because then you have a good foundation and then you can just excel from there. And as you can see in here, this is just a more sophisticated example of what, a fine dining catering could be like. And then also as the savory aspect as well. And then I directly moved into wedding and event planning. This doesn't necessarily have to do with directly hands-on experience with food, but I would be working with more things of like floral design or a venue setup or souvenirs for guests or, helping brides with wedding dresses. And so with this, you kind of have to explore the more management and organizational side of the industry. And so the way that I found that I really wanted to look into this is because I've always had a passion for weddings in general. I've always loved, the lovey-dovey, wedding or, romantic movies. And then from there, I just, realized that I do enjoy going to my family members' weddings or friends' weddings. And so I kind of generated that into connecting into the food industry because it could be an outlet for me to go into. And so one of the most important characteristics to have going into wedding and event planning is having organizational skills. If you aren't organized, how do you expect to plan somebody else's life on top of yours? And so these are just some of the things that include wedding planning. As you can see, the cakes, the souvenirs, the venue setup. Also with wedding and event catering, I am not going to have those hands-on experience with food. I'm not going to be making somebody's wedding cake. I'm going to have to connect with another vendor that can do that for me. And so that's one of the downsides that I do have to look at is I'm not going to have that everyday experience of being in a kitchen. And then also I looked into molecular gastronomy. When I say molecular gastronomy, sometimes people give me the deer in headlights look because they have no idea what that is or have not heard of it or thinks it's some sort of chemistry or fancy scientific word. But what a molecular gastronomist does is it's a professional that works with within a specific branch of science to explore the art of preparing sampling of different components in food. And so basically this would allow me to incorporate my love for math and science that I've always had growing up in school because those were my strong suits as far as subjects. But also it would give me hands-on experience in the kitchen. I will be working with food every day. I will be, researching and looking into, what exactly reacts with what whenever it's combined together. And so that will keep me in touch with the latest technology or the latest, things to use whenever you are working in the kitchen. And just some examples of molecular gastronomy itself is you can make noodles using agar-agar, and basically you can take, in this example, they used arugula, and so basically they used arugula and they combined it with the agar-agar and they put it into type of a noodle, and then they freeze it with the agar-agar and it comes out like a spaghetti noodle. And so that takes on the ideal of, having spaghetti. But there's also the example of spherification using sodium alginate, and it takes on the characteristics of caviar. And so whenever you go to a fine dining institution, you're like, oh, that's caviar. No, it's actually something that tastes completely different, but it has the consistency of like Jell-O or a gummy. And then also, one of my personal favorites is doing a powdered fat using maltodextrin, and you can take anything that has a high fat content, including olive oil or peanut butter or Nutella, and basically you mix that with maltodextrin and it becomes out like a powder. And so it is kind of nice of having that texture of powdered sugar in your mouth, but it tastes completely different than that. And then also another example is doing a hot ice cream using methyl cellulose, and this kind of is reverse psychology of everything we've learned in life just in general, because as you eat the ice cream, it's hot, but then when it melts, it becomes cold. And then finally, I did look into the Food Network, and basically I just wanted to research a specific person that is very involved with the Food Network, and so I chose Giada De Laurentiis, and I wanted to see her background and learn what she did prior to be going on the Food Network, to learn how she got there and what made her stick out versus other chefs, to be able to want to be viewed on the screen and have her own TV show. And so what she does is she started with a degree at a culinary school, but she got a degree in culinary arts and pastry arts. And so she kind of learned both aspects of the industry. She wasn't specialized just with one side. She did know how, to make a really good cupcake, but also she knows how to sear, every type of fish. And so That is